Today is the day my domineering husband returns home. His name is Ethan Blackwood. I swear, I only started reading this novel because of his name. After all, who could resist a story where the male lead is named Ethan Blackwood, with a nickname like Iron Bull? If I had known I would end up inside the book, I would have chosen a more normal one. Yes, I am a transmigrator. The original character was a hopeless romantic, so obsessed with Ethan Blackwood that she would do anything for him, even the most foolish things. She spent 4 years fawning over Ethan, but he never gave her a second glance. When his true love left the country, the original character finally got a chance to be his stand-in. To stay by Ethan's side, she lived as someone else's shadow. Ethan, meanwhile, would reminisce about his true love through her and mock her, reminding her that no matter how much she tried, she could never compare. In the 3rd year of their marriage, his true love suddenly returned. Ethan instantly transformed into a devoted lover, while the original character became increasingly desperate. Eventually, Ethan couldn't stand her anymore and kicked her out. Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she passed away from hunger and cold. In short, the original character's devotion led to nothing. My head hurt just thinking about it, and I wished I could drain the foolishness from her brain. To my surprise, I actually ended up inside the book as the original character. Damn! But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and managed to save enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security. It's time for a divorce. Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan. I made all sorts of preparations. For instance, when Ethan returned, he would likely smirk at me with a mix of disdain and mockery, and I would shed tears of pain and despair, choosing to let go for the sake of love and painfully agreeing to the divorce. But to my utter shock, the first thing he did upon returning home was stride over and envelop me in a tight hug. So tight that I nearly rolled my eyes from the pressure, and my chest ached from the squeeze.
Damn, it really hurt. Buddy, if you strangle me, we can't get divorced.
Perhaps my words struck a chord with him, as Ethan finally loosened his grip. He stood there quietly, his face a mix of complex emotions, his dark eyes deep and unreadable, as if he had 1,000 words he couldn't express.
It's okay, I understand. I understand it all. You want a divorce but don't want to be the bad guy. Fine, I'll say it.
I took a deep breath, and just as the words "let's get a divorce" reached my lips, Ethan suddenly spoke.
I love you.
I stood there, dumbfounded, as if struck by lightning, staring at him in disbelief. Under his gentle gaze, I felt my face heat up and finally stammered out a response.
You.
Ethan's lips curved into a confident smile, as if he had already won.
Did a donkey kick your head? Idiot. You can't fool me.
In the 3rd year of their marriage, Ethan's true love suddenly returned.
I'm back, Lily. I've missed you.
Ethan, we need to talk.
Ethan instantly transformed into a devoted lover, while Lily grew increasingly desperate.
What's on your mind, darling?
Ethan, I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce.
Ethan's smile vanished instantly.
I've done many wrong things to you in the past, but I've come to realize my true feelings. I genuinely love you. I know you won't believe me right away, but I hope you can give me a chance to prove myself.
No, thank you.
A flash of pain crossed Ethan's face.
Lily, are you really this heartless?
Have you forgotten about Emily Summers by the lake back then?
Yes, that's right, Ethan's first love was Emily Summers. Their story was quite melodramatic.
Who's Emily Summers?
She's the woman you loved for 6 years.
The one I've always loved is you. Anna, I'm telling the truth.
I furrowed my brows. Could it be? I got the wrong script or entered the wrong book.
Is your nickname Iron Egg? Because when you were a kid, someone threw firecrackers into the toilet while you were in it, and you came out unscathed.
Yes.
Your favorite breakfast is chive pockets, you like cilantro in your porridge, and your second molar on the right side is an implant.
Ethan's expression gradually turned to surprise.
That's right, everything you said is correct.
Ethan was still the Ethan I knew, but why did the plot seem to be falling apart like a runaway horse?
Lily, I know you love me, but I didn't realize you loved me this much. Please don't deny your feelings anymore, okay?
He even had a look of I understand everything. Is this guy out of his mind? Even without the so-called true love, I had no interest in staying with a domineering CEO. Seriously, why serve a man when you can be wealthy, independent, and happy?
Let's get a divorce.
Ethan's expression darkened.
Don't be ridiculous.
Ridiculous? Why did you marry me in the first place? Ask around, who marries a wife just to leave her at home like a decoration? You've never loved me, all you do is throw money at me. Who cares about your money? I want a divorce.
I was wrong before, but from now on, I'll treat you well.
Look at you, all talk and no action.
What do you want? I can make it up to you.
Letting me go would be the best way to make it up to me.
No matter what Ethan said, I was determined to get a divorce. But Ethan was just as stubborn, refusing to agree. He left me no choice. That night, I started online dating 8 different men, metaphorically giving Ethan 8 shiny hats. I refused to believe he could tolerate this. I quickly chose one lucky guy to meet in person. The meeting place? Our villa. When my 179 centimeters, 8-pack abs, Gemini boyfriend arrived, Ethan happened to come home. They ran into each other at the door.
You look even better than your photos.
Then he turned to Ethan, nervously asking,
Is this your uncle?
I couldn't help but laugh.
Oh, Gemini, you're something else.
Compared to the casually dressed, 22-year-old Gemini, Ethan, in his suit and shiny shoes, looked much older.
We're not hiring security guards.
Gemini was stunned for a moment before quickly explaining.
Uncle, I'm not here for a job. I'm Sophia's boyfriend.
I secretly grabbed my packed suitcase, waiting for Ethan to explode and kick me out. Instead, he said,
You're too short. Your eyes are small, and you're not as handsome as me. You look poor. She can buy 14 bags in a day and spend $2 million. Can you afford that?
Gemini's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at me, filled with confusion. I shook my head vigorously.
No, I'm not. I didn't. Don't listen to him.
Ethan then said,
Honey, I'm hungry.
Ethan's unexpected move left Gemini no choice but to leave, not even stepping inside. One Gemini wasn't enough. I had Pisces, Virgo, Aries, Scorpio, Cancer, Capricorn, and another Scorpio. But Ethan Blackwood seemed to be competing with all of them. When Pisces showed up with a bouquet to meet me, Ethan found out and immediately had his secretary order a field of roses. Literally, a field.
Come on, Ethan, don't be so ridiculous.
Hearing the gasps around me, I finally couldn't sit still. As soon as I stepped outside, I was hit in the face by 2 roses.
Madam, I'm so sorry. Madam?
He mistook me for someone else. Let's go.
But just as I finished speaking, Ethan Blackwood walked over, stepping on the roses.
Whatever they can give you, I can give you more. If you want to start over with someone, why can't it be me? I'll do better than them, the best.
In front of everyone, he knelt on one knee and pulled out a diamond ring that nearly blinded me with its brilliance.
Can you give me another chance?
Say yes, say yes, the crowd began to cheer after their initial shock and awe. Pisces was already in tears and, before I could react, pushed me forward.
Sister, if you don't want such a good man, I do.
Damn, what a traitor! I had thought Ethan Blackwood would divorce me immediately after I humiliated him, but instead, he started competing with 8 other men. If one was 6 feet 3 inches, he wore lifts. If one had thick hair, he wore a wig. In the end, all the men I had carefully selected left with their hands in their pockets, disappointed.
Fine, this approach wasn't working. I needed a new strategy.
I began to delve into the plot again. After 3 days of intense contemplation, I finally realized the problem lay with Emily Summers. According to the story, Ethan Blackwood was supposed to meet her during his last business trip, and they would fall in love. But now, there wasn't even a spark, and I was growing increasingly anxious every day. Could it be that they never met? To investigate, I secretly went to Ethan Blackwood's company. Unexpectedly, I encountered a beautiful woman as soon as I arrived downstairs. She had long hair cascading down her back, wore a flowing dress, and had almond-shaped eyes, a small upturned nose, and rosy lips. She exuded a serene and gentle aura.
The famous Emily Summers, you finally made your appearance.
I almost cried tears of joy. Her presence here couldn't be unrelated to Ethan Blackwood. Emily seemed to sense someone watching her and slightly turned her head, causing me to quickly hide behind a car. At the same time, Ethan Blackwood appeared out of nowhere.
Pretending not to know each other, huh? Gotcha this time.
This time, I was determined to get my divorce papers back.
What exactly do you want?
Alex, what did I do wrong? Why are you treating me like this?
Alex?
Alex!
My toes curled against the floor, and I couldn't help but let out a snicker through gritted teeth.
Why? Is it because of her?
Suddenly, I couldn't laugh anymore. In the 3rd year of their marriage, his true love suddenly returned. Ethan instantly transformed into a devoted lover, while the original character became increasingly desperate. Eventually, Ethan couldn't stand her anymore and kicked her out. Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she succumbed to hunger and cold. In short, the original character's devotion led to nothing. My head hurt just thinking about it, and I wished I could drain the foolishness from her brain. To my surprise, I actually ended up inside the book as the original character.
Damn!
But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and managed to save enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security.
It's time for a divorce.
Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan. In the 3rd year of their marriage, Ethan's true love suddenly returned. Instantly, he transformed into a devoted lover, while Lily became increasingly desperate. Eventually, Ethan couldn't stand her anymore and kicked her out. Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she passed away from hunger and cold.
My head hurt just thinking about it, and I wished I could drain the foolishness from her brain. To my surprise, I actually ended up inside the book as Lily. Damn!
But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and managed to save enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security.
It's time for a divorce. Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan.
Initially, I just didn't want to serve a man. Now, it was about my own survival. If it came to it, I could forego the divorce certificate and just run. But as soon as I pulled the suitcase from under the bed, the butler appeared at the door out of nowhere.
Madam, Mr. Blackwood said to wait for his return.
I was instantly furious. I didn't care if he was Mr. Blackwood or Mr. Whoever, I had to leave today. Dragging my suitcase, I stormed out of the bedroom, only to be met by a row of bodyguards whose muscles seemed ready to burst out of their uniforms. Roughly estimating, one punch from them could probably take me out twice over.
Sorry, wrong way.
I retreated back to the room in defeat. By dinner time, Ethan still hadn't returned. The butler brought the meal upstairs since I refused to go down. He tried to persuade me.
Madam, I know you don't have an appetite right now, but...
Before he could finish, I snatched the food away. Who was he kidding? I needed to eat well to have the energy to argue. The butler was taken aback, but then we both heard the sound of the door opening. He turned, tears welling up in his eyes.
Mr. Blackwood, you're finally back.
I stood up abruptly.
Ethan Blackwood, your mother, has she eaten?
Ethan glanced at the suitcase by my feet.
You want to leave?
As the male lead, Ethan had the looks and physique to match, slim in clothes, muscular without, and his chest was bigger than mine. In short, he could easily overpower me. I forced a smile.
Just going out for some fresh air.
Ethan looked into my eyes.
Lily, you seem like a different person.
Alarm bells rang in my head. If Ethan realized I wasn't the original Sophia, who knew what he might do? I forced myself to stay calm and met his gaze.
People can't stay the same forever. I can't deny I loved you deeply before, but now I don't want to wait any longer. Isn't this what you wanted most?
Ethan's eyes darkened.
That's not what I want now.
As if finally making up his mind, he exhaled softly, his expression turning serious.
Actually, I had a dream.
Where had I heard this line before? Was he copying Emily Summers' opening speech?
I dreamt that after you left me, you didn't live well. I don't want to see you like that.
Ha, as if it wasn't your fault. What a hypocrite.
It's just a dream, right? I can dream too. I had a dream that before we divorced, you were entangled with Emily Summers. I tried everything to stop you, but you got angry and divorced me, kicking me out. In the end, I passed away, and before I died, I heard about your engagement.
I don't know if it was my imagination, but I saw a fleeting look of guilt on Ethan's face.
I swear, there's nothing between Emily Summers and me. My heart belongs only to you. I don't want to divorce you, nor do I want to be apart from you. Sophia, please give me another chance.
If word got out that he was begging for a woman, it would surely shock many people. Maybe someone else would have given in by now. But I wasn't moved, I was even more annoyed.
Give me a reason.
I just wanted to know why. Why had Ethan's attitude changed so drastically?
I was wrong before. I later realized that you were the one I truly wanted. But I had already lost the chance to make it up to you forever, so this time, no matter what, I won't let go of your hand.
Before? Later? This time? I looked up and met Ethan's intense gaze, and the doubts in my heart were completely dispelled. Ethan hadn't just dreamt. He had been reborn.
Sophia, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm willing to spend my life making it up to you.
In fact, I only read up to the part where the original protagonist passed away, and Ethan Blackwood and Emily Summers announced their engagement. I couldn't bear to continue because it was the first time I'd seen a protagonist so miserable. Her obsession with love was so extreme it was painful to read. It turned out that the story had a major twist at the end. The original protagonist was actually the one who saved Ethan from drowning when they were children. This explained why she, despite her miserable fate, was the protagonist. It was a classic tale of early suffering for the heroine and later suffering for the hero.
I'll consider it.
I didn't dare to refuse outright. Ethan was unpredictable, and I feared he might turn into a madman and imprison me, or worse, end my life like in the original story. His eyes lit up, and a smile crept onto his lips.
I'll make you fall for me again.
The butler, moved to tears, exclaimed.
It's been so long since I've seen the young master so happy.
Thanks, but no thanks.
That night, after my shower, I was startled to see someone on the bed. Ethan Blackwood was wearing a robe, its collar loosely open, revealing his tan skin and muscular chest. His hair was slightly damp, a lock of it falling over his forehead.
Ethan, you know what? A man who doesn't respect himself is like rotten cabbage. I like people who respect themselves.
His face darkened as he stood up from the bed and left without a word, probably feeling humiliated. I followed him without hesitation and locked the door behind him with a click. The footsteps outside came to an abrupt halt.
Rotten cabbage!
Recently, Ethan Blackwood's life could be summed up in one phrase: eyes open, start competing. Ethan began to pursue me, striving to surpass my 8 online boyfriends in every way. Maybe he truly regretted his actions. But the person he loved was the original protagonist, not me. The person he wronged was the original protagonist, not me. The real Sophia Brown had long met her tragic end, and I just happened to take over her body at the same time. I had no right to forgive Ethan on her behalf. Wrong was wrong, and late was late, it had no meaning. My resolve to divorce him and escape his grasp only grew stronger. In the 3rd year of their marriage, his true love suddenly returned. Ethan instantly transformed into a devoted lover, while the original character became increasingly desperate. Eventually, Ethan couldn't stand her anymore and kicked her out. Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she passed away from hunger and cold. In short, the original character's devotion led to nothing.
My head hurt just thinking about it, and I wished I could drain the foolishness from her brain. To my surprise, I actually ended up inside the book as the original character.
Damn. But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and managed to save enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security. It's time for a divorce. Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan. In the 3rd year of their marriage, Ethan's true love suddenly returned. Ethan instantly transformed into a devoted lover, while the original character became increasingly desperate. Eventually, Ethan couldn't stand her anymore and kicked her out. Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she passed away from hunger and cold. In short, the original character's devotion led to nothing. My head hurt just thinking about it, and I wished I could drain the foolishness from her brain. To my surprise, I actually ended up inside the book as the original character. Damn! But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and managed to save enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security. It's time for a divorce. Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan.
Sophia never eats cilantro.
A kidnapper conveniently handed me a mirror, showing the green speck stuck between my teeth. I never thought I would be exposed by a piece of cilantro. This was absurd.
Isn't it possible that I've suddenly developed a taste for cilantro?
Sophia would never eat cilantro. She also doesn't like meat, yet you eat pork knuckles and intestines at every meal. Durian is her most hated fruit, but you bought 3 of them in one night after going to Tea City.
He listed my inconsistencies one by one.
Most importantly, Sophia's heart belongs to me alone. She would never hire male models or stop loving me unless you aren't her.
This was beyond ridiculous. I had never encountered someone so self-absorbed, leaving me speechless and without the desire to argue.
If that's what you think, there's nothing I can do.
Who are you really? Where has she gone?
At this point, anything I said would be wrong, so I bit my lip and stayed silent.
He paced around anxiously before suddenly stopping.
I get it. You're a stand-in she hired to deceive me.
Ethan stepped forward and grabbed my neck, his eyes cold.
Where is she? If you don't tell me, you'll regret ever being born.
His grip tightened, making it harder for me to breathe. If I didn't answer him tonight, Ethan would surely end me. She's already gone! Ethan finally released me.
I collapsed, coughing violently, only to be forced to look up as he grabbed my chin.
Then who are you?
I took a deep breath.
My name is Sophia Brown. We share the same name, but she is her, and I am me. When I arrived, she was already gone. This body only has me in it.
Ethan visibly froze for a few seconds.
Gone?
Ethan lowered his head in silence. When he looked up again, his eyes were devoid of warmth.
Seeing that Ethan seemed mentally unstable, I didn't dare provoke him further. Instead, I showed him my wrists, bruised from his grip.
This is still her body, after all. Don't you feel any pity?
Ethan frowned and ordered someone to untie me. I hadn't even had a moment to feel relieved when a familiar sack was thrown over my head again.
So annoying. To prevent me from escaping, Ethan locked me up in a mental institution.
This time, it was truly over. But I never expected to run into Emily Summers there. Seeing her in a hospital gown, I fell into deep thought. Could it be that she had lost her mind from unrequited love? Emily Summers' eyes were filled with tears.
Did he lock you up too?
You too?
After talking for a while, I learned that for the past 2 months, she had been tormented by Ethan Blackwood and eventually confined to a psychiatric hospital. It turned out that my peaceful days were because Emily was bearing the burden for me.
Ethan Blackwood is a jerk.
Emily finally understood my good intentions from the beginning. The Summers family had some influence, but after she upset Ethan, they had to wait until his anger subsided before rescuing her.
Don't worry, I'll get you out of here soon.
Great!
Suddenly, life seemed hopeful again. But that very night, Ethan brought two strangely dressed people to see me. They began discussing a soul extraction ritual right in front of me.
Couldn't they discuss this behind my back?
I hurriedly grabbed Ethan.
Isn't there a possibility that we don't have to extract the soul?
I can't leave her body for a wandering spirit like you.
As soon as he finished speaking, the two people took out various strange items and started drawing bizarre symbols on the ground.
Holy crap!
I turned to run, but Ethan pulled out a rope and tied me up. He threw me into the middle of the room and retreated to the door, his eyes cold and venomous, staring at me.
Holy crap! They were serious?
In a desperate attempt, I started singing the Internationale loudly, trying to disrupt their rhythm.
Shut up!
Even if you extract me, what if Anna Smith doesn't come back? Actually, I've been hiding something from you. I can communicate with Anna. I can help you find her.
She's already gone. I've had it checked.
But
Having her body is enough.
Ethan's expression was serious and affectionate, as if the real Anna was standing before him. I felt nothing but horror. He had truly lost his mind. In the 3rd year of their marriage, Ethan's true love unexpectedly returned.
My love, I can't believe you're back.
Ethan transformed into a devoted lover, while his wife grew increasingly desperate.
I can't stand you anymore. Get out of my sight.
Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she succumbed to hunger and cold. Her devotion led to nothing. My head hurt just thinking about it. To my surprise, I ended up inside the book as the original character. Damn. But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and saved enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security. It's time for a divorce. Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan. In the 3rd year of their marriage, Ethan's true love suddenly returned. Instantly, Ethan transformed into a devoted lover, leaving his wife increasingly desperate. Eventually, Ethan could no longer tolerate her and kicked her out. Heartbroken and destitute, she wandered the streets until she passed away from hunger and cold. My head hurt just thinking about it, and I wished I could drain the foolishness from her brain. To my surprise, I actually ended up inside the book as the original character. Damn! But I refused to follow her path. While Ethan was away on a business trip, I sold everything I could and managed to save enough money to live comfortably for 10 lifetimes. With my bank card safely in my pocket, I felt a sense of security. It's time for a divorce. Everything is ready, just waiting for Ethan. I hid at Emily Summers' place, and my greatest joy each day was watching the media reports on Ethan Blackwood's downfall. Ethan had turned into a fool, but he brought it upon himself. Serves him right. As I was flipping off Ethan's face on the screen, someone suddenly spoke behind me.
Madam, please come home. Mr. Blackwood needs you.
Startled, I turned around to see Ethan's butler standing there. Damn, when did he come in? The maid at the door silently lowered her head. Awkwardly, I put my middle finger away and cleared my throat. The Summers family had already been extremely kind by giving me shelter. They couldn't possibly go against the Blackwood family for my sake. But that's fine. I'll handle it myself.
Go to hell. I'm getting a divorce.
I admit, My actions might seem like kicking someone when they're down. So what? I'll kick him to the ground. The Blackwood family realized the gravity of the situation and started sending people to negotiate with me.
Divorcing now might not be good for your reputation.
Don't worry, I don't care about my reputation.
The negotiator was taken aback.
Divorce is out of the question.
Emily had analyzed the situation for me yesterday. The Blackwood family would never agree to a divorce because their reputation was already in shambles. If I divorced Ethan and then exposed all his past deeds, they would be finished. So they would do anything to keep me. Honestly, I wasn't that desperate for a divorce anymore. Ethan, now mentally incapacitated, couldn't cause me any trouble. He had already been sent to a health institution by his family.
Actually, I don't mind staying married, but it depends on your sincerity.
What are your conditions, Miss Smith?
I straightforwardly held up 5 fingers. He left with a dark expression, but I got a card even darker than his face. I turned to high-five Emily.
Where to tonight?
Holding the card between my fingers, I gave a mischievous smile.
Tonight's expenses are on Miss Smith.
And so, Emily and I embarked on a life of happiness.